You're listening to the Dealer Playbook Podcast, episode 33, and today we're going to show you how to take your website to the next level. Here we go.
You're dialed in to the Dealer Playbook Podcast, where it's all about winning auto dealer strategies that deliver proven results. And now your hosts, Robert Weissman and Michael Cirillo.
Hey there, and thank you so much for listening to the Dealer Playbook Podcast. We're so glad you're here every single week. We are dropping some power bombs of information for you with elite guests in and out of the auto industry. My name is Michael Cirillo. I'm joined today with my co-host, Robert Weissman. What's going on?
What's up, Michael? Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know you are in the States, so as we're speaking, so I know in Canada, to our Canadian friends, today's not Thanksgiving.
We're a month back Thanksgiving, but you know what? Nonetheless, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We're so glad that you're listening to the show. Hope you're having a good time with family, friends, enjoying some turkey or whatever your Thanksgiving food is. Get caught up on that football. But nonetheless, thanks so much. Hey, are you or catch up on wrestling if you're Robert?
Wrestling, yeah.
There you
WWE
go.
Network.
Man, I love that
Michael,
post you had. I love that post you had on Facebook. You're like, why is everybody watching football? How come nobody's doing like dream teams for wrestling?
I was teasing Lindsay Shaker the other day about it. It's that I have this thing with the we thing when people talk about like their favorite football team or something like that, where it's like, we have a big game today. I'm like, no, you don't. You're not on the team. You're a fan. Like with me as a wrestling fan, I don't have like my favorite tag team, and I'm like, we're looking good for this match.
I used to be, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan had a cage match back in the day, and you're like, we're gonna win this one, man.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep, no, you're right. That's why I love the tease on that one. It's just one of those things that bothers me.
So today, like I said, we want to just offer a quick episode here. We know it's Thanksgiving. We're so glad you're here, but we want to just drop you some quick actionable information that will help you with your website strategy. I mean, everybody knows by now that's kind of our big thing, whether it's working with Flex Dealer and the things that we're doing there. But at the end of the day, we really want you listening in to be as successful as possible. So whether it's your own authority, personal branded website that you have going on, or whether it's your full-fledged dealer website or secondary sites, we want to be able to just give you some information today that you can definitely take to the bank. In fact, the information that we're going to be talking about today and sharing with you are strategies and information that top online marketers have been using for the better part of a decade.
And Michael, jumping in quick, this is also the information is also relevant to even dealerships, or even some of our friends, somebody that's listening in that works with a dealer partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, basically any kind of website, these strategies and and information that Michael's really going to carry, because this is definitely his thing. It works around the clock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And around the
point is, what we're talking about, it's truth. Whether I'm sharing it, whether, one of my competitors, it doesn't matter. As long as the information's true, test it out. The proof is in the pudding. You're going to find out quite quickly, especially if you're tied into analytics and things of that nature, to find out if what we're talking about today is true. I know it's true. It works for us. It works for our clients, and it works for those that I share with as we travel around and do the conference circuit. We get a lot of good feedback. And listen, I mean, like I said, top online marketers using this kind of stuff for, the better part of a decade, and they're doing it to build these passive multi-million-dollar incomes. So, maybe let's just jump right into it. There's a couple of things that have come to my mind that, we don't typically, in my observation, focus on a lot, but it's this fundamental knowledge that we're going to talk about right now that will help you no matter what your website platform is, no matter what company you're partnered with, whatever, but are just some fundamental foundational principles that, if you understand them, will help you increase traffic, but also leverage the existing traffic that's coming to your website. I know in the car business especially, it's all about getting more leads. And for me, it's a little bit of a methodology shift, because yes, more leads are great if, and Robert, you know this, if you know how to handle them in the first place. But what about like leveraging the existing traffic to get more leads, squeeze that for more leads?
That's a great point, Michael, because you know what? Especially, it seems like I hear it more so in the auto industry than anywhere. Is you'll hear guys that's like, okay, so we have 5,000 unique visitors hitting our website every month. We're converting that at 11%. Okay, so what we need to do is we want to get more opportunities and leads from this. So we need to figure out how to drive an extra 10,000 people to the site so we can get 11% of 10,000.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's really the result of perhaps not utilizing the resources that you have properly. Like, here's an example. I got a call one day. I'm working with a dealership right now. This is ridiculous. This is true brewed and tattooed honest to goodness here. Spending $12,000 a month. Okay, $12,000 a month. I was asked, hey, how many leads should you be getting for $12,000 a month, spending on PPC and SEO and all those sorts of things? And I'm like, seriously, for $12,000 a month, you should be getting thousands of leads. Like, let's be serious here. I was asked to guess how many leads this dealership was getting, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500. Trying to be conservative. 60 leads for 12 G's.
The problem is then the page, then the website, because, and here's another thing, how often do you when it comes to traffic, I mean, traffic is not hard. You can buy, like you said, they're spending 10, 12 G's on anybody can get traffic. Yep. That's actually the easiest part. Am I right?
Yeah,
because you can buy
exactly. You can buy traffic.
Targeted traffic.
You can buy targeted traffic. And that's actually a good point. And that's going to segue nicely into what I wanted to talk about here to start this off. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Automated, pay-per-click platforms, kind of pump and dump and set it, forget it. That was one of the biggest contributing factors to this dealership. They're spending $12,000. And I mean, when you have a set it and forget it automated system and it's not hands-on and you don't have real, people who are skilled in pay-per-click, you're going to see that. And so they weren't, I shouldn't say their provider wasn't being a worthy steward of the money that's being spent. So, happy day, we're getting that all fixed up. But let's talk about this for a second. So when you say targeted, I mean, that really resonates with me, because at the end of the day, we talk a lot about how to get targeted leads, but nobody actually ever goes a step back. As we attend the conferences and stuff and we hear about this, we never talk about what targeted actually means. So in order to actually understand targeted traffic or targeted leads, you need to understand the phases of the buying cycle. And again, we hear a lot about the phases of the buying cycle, but nobody actually ever digs in. Those that do have different names for the different phases, but I'm going to just share with you the phases that I use, or the names that I use. Ultimately, they represent customers that are in a certain position. So understanding these phases, like I said, is going to help you share the right message with the right audience at the right time and in the right tone. You've heard me talk about that in previous episodes. If not, go back, www.thedealerplaybook.com, and check it out. But basically, here they are. I'm just going to go through them. So first phase of the buying cycle or buying process is awareness. That's when you ultimately realize that you have a problem that needs a solution, or you're in a certain position. Like, perfect example is, when my wife and I were driving a two-door coupe, found out we were expecting and realized or became aware that a two-door coupe may not be conducive to car seats, extra, baggage, young family, right? So we became aware, oh man, we have an issue here. Well, what happens is there's kind of a couple of layers of awareness. So there's the initial layer, oh, we need a different car. But then there's, as you formulate this kind of wish list of things that you'd like to see in the new car, you become aware of more, you almost kind of fine tune your awareness. It's like, oh yeah, but we're not probably looking for a truck. We're probably looking for, a 4-door sedan or a minivan or something that's going to have more space and more fuel economy or better fuel economy. Those things, right?
All right. Let me inject.
Sure.
I'll ask you a question based off of this. So what you're saying right now at that phase, is this just like kitchen table banter and talk right now? This is pre-search,
and this might even, in my case, this was even kind of like pre-announcing to my wife that we probably need to buy a new vehicle. This is just kind of like, you're sitting there working and you're going,
hasn't even been said out
hasn't even been put out there yet, but
just her face looking at you getting in and out of this two-door pregnant.
And it's kind of that thing, it's on everyone's mind, but nobody's really kind of said it yet. Or maybe they have, we need a new vehicle. Okay, let's casually look. And you start, going online or looking at, Auto Trader or sites like that just to kind of see. Well, the next phase of the buying process is consideration. Okay. This is when you're actually starting to dig in, do some research. You're looking at, okay, well, I know we want a minivan. Well, this is where like cross comparison shopping happens. Google's insights from their Think with Google website talk about how, it's something like 70%, probably a little higher now because the study's about a year old, but about 70% of automotive consumers specifically, that's important to understand, just automotive consumers are engaged in cross-shopping. And this happens in the consideration phase of the buying process. They're going, okay, cool. We know we need a minivan. What are the minivans out there? There's the Grand Caravan, the Odyssey, the Sienna, whatever it might be. And they're looking to see, okay, well, what's the difference? They're all around maybe the same price. They all have 2-3 model variations. What's the difference? What do I get in a Honda Odyssey that I do or don't get in a whatever
town and country?
Exactly. Town and country.
Absolutely. And it's evident with your those statistics there that they're doing it. And second, the statistic that 1.2 dealerships now the average consumer is visiting. Well, they used to do that same exact comparison research, but on the front line, in the showroom. Now they didn't stop doing it.
Yeah, they didn't stop doing it. They're just doing it at a different place. And that's, it's funny. I drive by the Auto Mile or through the Auto Mall sometimes on Saturday, and there's like one person on the lot. And that can be alarming for you. I understand that because you're not seeing physical people come to your lot, but they really are there. You need to be looking at your Google Analytics. In fact, there's a Google Analytics like real-time report that you can look into and actually see who's on your site like right now. It's pretty cool. And those people, you have to understand, they are on your lot. They're just on your online lot. And we talk a lot about having content.
There's more people on there any given minute, right?
And the point of really what we're talking about is making sure that you are representing your business well where your customers already are. So that's consideration. Heavy cross shopping,
What's the recap? So it's consideration was number 2.
Awareness.
Number 1 was, again, awareness.
I'm aware I have something here.
I have a problem.
I need a new vehicle. Or, my car broke down. I'm aware now that I need a service technician. Those sorts of things. Or I know I need a vehicle, but I have bad credit. I'm aware of I've become aware of a situation or a scenario. Then to consideration. I'm looking, I'm researching how can I, what can I, where can I, how am I going to solve this? It's important to understand millions of people go online every single day. The internet usage rates in North America are astounding. They're incredible. So from consideration, it's conversion. I've learned as much as I feel comfortable with learning about this. I understand that I'm not interested in a town and country. I'm interested in a Odyssey. Now, who wins my business? Who am I going to convert to? Well, this is kind of genius, and it all kind of happens at the same time, because you have to understand, if you are the dealership that provides the consumer with what they're looking for, when they're looking for it, and how they're looking for it, you not only gain their loyalty, you become a credible source of information, and they trust you. I call it BRTing, build relationships of trust. Nobody ever trusts anybody without the exchange of information, and when that information checks out. So conversion, going to go do business. Then there's decision, hey, sign on the dotted line kind of a thing. And then there's retention. How well do you retain that individual or that consumer as a customer? Robert, you did extremely well with this kind of stuff, touching base with your customers. Elise, she's known for the follow-up and touching base and making sure those people are loyal. But there's even, I want to give a shout out to other, players in the industry who are doing a phenomenal job. There's Mike Davenport, Charles Cannon, the Cadillac Kid, all of these guys, Alex, that are doing a phenomenal job thinking outside the box and retaining the customers after they have been delighted. Okay. So that's that's the buying process: awareness, consideration, conversion, decision, retention. Retention is so key. The second sale is easier to make than the first, and it's even easier to make if that customer loves you already. I can think of my own experience purchasing a vehicle. The last vehicle that I purchased, the dealership's just gone over and above servicing me, making sure I'm taken care of, putting the right deal together for me, taking into consideration my family, all those sorts of things. I'll tell you what, if I'm still in this area, the next time I need a vehicle, that's the dealership I'm going to.
Buy the same.
Done. I'm converted.
Well, I converted myself, sold myself my current vehicle because I was still, active in a dealership. Took it in to get it serviced the other, about last month, to get an oil change. And I got an email thanking me for my purchase of my new car after I left from service.
Love it. So now here, let's move this on to, let's migrate this to the web. If you're listening in and you're paying attention to those phases of the buying cycle, you're probably already, moving on how you can apply this to your web strategy. Well,
okay, so you saying that right there, let me ask you this, Michael. That's something that I feel that in not just, especially in automotive, is that they totally forget. We're so hell-bent on process and the steps to the sale when somebody comes into the showroom, okay? But there's more people, again, like we've said, nobody's going to argue with that. More people are hitting your site. You can tell that just by your analytics. But I think we totally just look over and don't give any love to the experience.
Oh
online.
yeah, absolutely.
Providing that same kind of an experience.
Absolutely. And you know what? And consider this, right? I mean, and this is how this is all going to shape together. We talk a lot about how marketing is being something of value to somebody, not worthless to everybody. And we've already talked about the importance of market segmentation, but we haven't ever really dug into this whole concept of the buying funnel, or the buying process, and how that plays into it. You have to understand that each phase of the buying cycle or buying process,
you have to communicate with different.
You have to communicate because they're interested in different things at different times. But I used to say this a few years ago. I'd say it to our clients, and I'd say it to just those who I was trying to educate. I'd say, look, the thing is with your website, it's so powerful, in fact, that it can virtually take prospects by the hand and lead them through every phase of the buying process and into your store to purchase the vehicle, product, or service. And it was difficult, and I still see this day, it's kind of difficult. Shout out to Grant Gooley, we call them dinosaurs. Really wrap your head around, well, how can my website condition somebody's purchase behavior from start to finish? Right? We see this all the time. Customer comes into the dealership and they say, well, what's the best price I can get on this thing? That conditions the dealership to believe that the only thing customers are interested in is price. And there's a lot of information out there about demystifying this whole price thing, but you have to understand, and like we've just talked about, That customer who is saying they're interested in price to you at the dealership,
they just don't know what else to say.
Well, but they've already been qualified to a certain degree because they've been made aware, they've done some consideration shopping, they have converted, and now they're coming in to talk to you, and they're just at a phase of the buying process when they come into you, that is where price is. But you have to understand right out of the gates, it's like between 2 and 5% of consumers that are interested in price. Okay, that means that there's 97% of consumers that are somewhere else in the buying funnel. Awareness, consideration, conversion, decision, retention. Okay. So how do we use this? We look at, now that we understand the phases of the buying process, we look at the customers inside of each of those. I think most first-time customers to a dealer website are likely in the consideration phase of the buying process. So it's very, very important for you to have information on your website that caters to their needs. There's also an SEO impact on providing that type of content. For example, if you have a blog post on your website that is, say you're a Ford dealer, if you have an F-150 versus Toyota Tundra blog post, and then you have an F-150 versus, the Ram 1500, and then an F-150 versus whatever, and you do that for all, Sierra, Silverado, etc., what's going to happen is you are going to start ranking in search engine for those types of search queries. What's the difference between the Ram 1500 and F-150? Do you see where I'm going with this? And by so doing, you kind of have a little like conquest SEO strategy going on. Most dealerships want to make sure that they have top level kind of brochure-esque information about their entire vehicle lineup, which I certainly encourage you to do. But once you have good written content and video content about each of your vehicles that you have or your new vehicle lineup, where do you go from there? You need to consider that majority of your customers are in the consideration phase of the buying cycle or buying process.
How important is it when doing things like this? Okay, you say like the F-150 and the Tundra, that would be different than somebody where I'm going to do like I'm going to do content about a Scion. Okay, how important is that language and how you're speaking and presenting it to certain because listen,
Absolutely.
Like you've said, this is what I threw Scion in because you always do that. The guy rolling the Scion is not like usually, you don't see an F-150 ad with that guy in the F-150 that
Absolutely.
you see on the Scion.
Absolutely.
Ad. So how important is it that it's not that like most landing pages that I've seen are like brochure, they sound like they're not really telling the story. They're not talking to the segment that's buying that vehicle.
Exactly. Same
with the VDP. Mm-hmm. I said this before that the VDP, the dealers always talk about how, that's their most traveled, most hit pages are their VDPs. Well, again, I think that's because that's the only page that has any kind of information about a car on the website.
And perfect point. And I mean,
and it doesn't speak
exactly
people.
That's exactly
doesn't
it.
Speak.
You need to speak in the language of people. I mean, what I mean by that is basically what you just said. I mean, they're doing certain types of searches, and you need to make sure that the language you're using mimics what they're searching for. So here's an example, right? Young families looking for a minivan. They're going to go. Imagine this. Imagine how powerful it would be if an ad or a blog post or something showed up that said top 5 reasons why young families choose the Honda Odyssey over the Toyota Sienna, or vice versa, or whatever.
Or the top 3, safety, new safety features that make the town and country the bomb.
Exactly. Because you're now talking to people about the things they care about. Well, if I'm in the consideration phase of the buying cycle and I'm a young family, say a young mother, young father, whatever, and I see, oh, really? Other young families are choosing the Honda Odyssey over the Toyota Sienna, and here's why. Boom, I'm going to click on it. I'm compelled.
And exactly that. See, where that I made a lot of mistakes in the past was with that headline. I mean, that's so powerful when you say that how much more compelling is that over the Honda Odyssey? What was your other one?
Toyota
I forget.
Sienna.
I apologize. It was the Toyota Sienna versus the Honda Odyssey.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, I don't know what, like, I think when you let them know exactly the value what they're going to get out of that video or piece of content, before they even read
it's why
it,
sites like it's why sites like Viral Nova, we see these shared on these articles that are so compelling just from the title. That could be a whole new blog post, how to craft titles and stuff. But like, it's like, I saw one the other night. It's kind of grim, but it's like, look at these selfies taken moments before the person died. Number 4 is unbelievable. And it was literally just an article of selfies that people had taken moments before, a tragic accident or like, losing balance and falling off something. But it was like, I was compelled to click on that. But it's also like, it could be like, I've seen one before where it's like, this old lady built something phenomenal in her garden shed. You're never going to believe photo number 5. Well, imagine using that concept in creating your content for people that are considering different types of vehicles. It's like, top 5 reasons young families choose the Toyota Sienna. Number 3 is going to blow your mind. And I mean, listen, this content isn't like, it shouldn't be overwhelming. In fact, you should be able to pull any of your sales reps aside that sell these vehicles who have the product knowledge and say, dude, give me the top 5 reasons why the Toyota Sienna is great for young families. You take their points, you craft the content, you get on your site.
They make it way harder than what it really
absolutely
needs to be.
So now let's kind of move along here. Just for the sake of time, here's the last thing I wanted to touch on. It is the advertising piece. Now, we heard in episode 32 with David Johnson about how to do AdWords effectively in the right way. The reason, touching back to that dealership that was spending $12,000 a month, we know they were, pump and dump. It wasn't their fault. It was just,
what's the name of that dealership, Michael? No, just
dun, dun, dun. That long pause, right? No, but you know what? And it wasn't the dealership's fault. I want to make that very clear.
I understand. I think that makes sense.
Dealerships are getting raped and pillaged out there because there's not many worthy stewards over the dealer's money, and that level of transparency that was needed. So in all transparency, my heart like crumbled when I heard they only got 60 leads for $12,000, because I can only imagine how like depressed I would be if I spent that money. So here's what needs to happen. Okay, your ads, and we touched on this in episode 32, so absolutely go check it out with David Johnson. But I'm going to just touch on it here because it's so important. Your ads need to be in the right language for the various phases of the buying process. So they need to be compelling, but then they also need to click through and land the customer on a relevant page. Listen, if you audit your PPC, for those of you who are using a third-party supplier to do this, go and audit it. Like right now, go check. Make sure that your ads are clicking the customer and landing the customer on a page that is specific, very, very specific to what the ad they clicked on.
Speaking the same language. That's like trying to tell somebody to come buy a rifle, and then you click, and then you land on a page that has like surfboards.
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying. You're going to have high abandonment rates.
It's a waste of money. It's a
waste of your money, and I can guarantee it's happening more than you might think. It's actually quite shocking. It's surprising. So that's why I bring it up.
VDP is not a page to route somebody to on an ad, in my opinion. I mean, you can do like dynamic inventory advertising and stuff like that, which is fine. It depends on your objectives. But what I'm saying here is like, you could have an ad that says young families choose the Toyota Sienna. You click on it, it brings you to this landing page on your site that says top 5 reasons why young families, choose the Toyota Sienna. And then you could, from that page with relevant content, good written content, a good video, maybe it's a walk around, a test drive video, something that's put together quite nicely. I'm not talking, that's going to take you a little time. Valuable, resourceful. Good words. And then imagine how powerful. The person's already clicked on that ad. So they're coming to your site because they're interested to learn.
from that page, then there's a big, nice, prominent call to action, halfway down the page, kind of splitting up the content that says view in stock Toyota Siennas now, or something along those lines. Boom. That leads them to your VSR vehicle search results.
Down even further again, too. I mean, you probably put it on the different spots on the page,
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, you want to play around with it. You're going to...
And why not send them other way? Maybe they're looking at, they realize it's not them, so maybe then you have other calls to action that to take them into other things that same person might want to see, might get value out of.
Absolutely. It's all based on your objectives, right? Maybe you just want them to fill out a form right on that page, reserve a test drive. It depends on the path that they've taken to get to where they are now and where you ultimately want them to go. So I'm going to cut it off there because we could keep going. This could be like a 5-hour episode. The point is, these are some simple things you can start implementing right now, guaranteed to give you results. No, it's not a magic bullet. No, it's not going to happen overnight. But you will see as you kind of build out a strategy where you're considering the phases of the buying cycle and how you can speak to those people about the things that they care about, how it will positively impact your business, and also leverage existing site traffic. Absolutely, there's the SEO impact and the advertising where you're going to drive in new traffic, new targeted traffic, but you're also going to leverage those thousands of people guaranteed who are coming back to your site on a monthly basis. Now, it does take a bit of work to get set up. Don't be afraid of it, because it's the kind of work that you do once, maybe once a year kind of a thing, and then it's done and you just let it keep paying you back dividends. So check this out. We want you to check out the show notes so that you can see this process outlined in writing. Go to www.thedealerplaybook.com/33. We'd love to get your feedback in the comments section as well. Don't forget, we'd love for you to subscribe to the show, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, and of course here on the dealerplaybook.com website. We're so excited that you're listening in. We want to hear from you. We want to get show topic ideas and guest ideas. We want to know what's resonating with you. So leave us some comments and feedback, and don't forget to subscribe. Hope you're having a good Thanksgiving. Thanks for being here today, and we will talk to you next week.